despite the blue protective vest he was wearing, and despite the fact that the word press was emblazoned on the front of that vest. Palestinian journalist Yaser Murtaja was shot by Israeli forces while covering the mass protests in Gaza on Friday. Yaser died early on Saturday. At his funeral in Gaza, Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh paid tribute.
I salute all the journalists and press who lost their lives in the same way. Those who have gone through the road of suffering in order to portray the reality for an oppressed people, a frustrated people, under siege in Gaza and all across Palestine. But it's the image of dignity for a proud people, a brave people, a straightforward people, brave, able to turn the table in the hardest of times.
Palestinian journalists gathered in the occupied West Bank to commemorate Yaser. According to the Palestinian Journalist Syndicate, 7 other journalists were also injured in protests on Friday. The syndicate describes them as deliberate crimes committed by the Israeli army and called on the United Nations to do more to protect journalists. In Ramallah, there was shock and anger.
The journalists, they want to send a message, say that even the journalists in Gaza or in West Bank are the same, first of all, as a Palestinians, second, as a journalist, and their duty is to cover what happened.
Yaser was 30 years old, well known, and well liked.
Yaser was a gentle soul. This is how everybody describes him. He was a gifted journalist, a gifted photojournalist and documentary filmmaker. He leaves behind a wife and a 2-year-old child, and he has united everybody in sorrow and in mourning because he was so gentle and so gifted and so dedicated.
Journalists stood in solidarity with their dead and wounded colleagues.
This is not going to make us feel helpless or hopeless. It will, I think, as it did before, make us more determined. And now the syndicate has more tools at its hand to defend the rights of journalists, to expose Israeli actions, and to attempt to hold it accountable in international forums. So that's a new window of hope, if you will, that we didn't have before.
Words of encouragement at a time when strength and fortitude may be needed more than ever before. Mohammed, Jamjoon, Jazeera, Ramallah, in the occupied West Bank.